I like, click, subscribe, do all that. You know what time it is. It's Netflix time. This show is called Heist. So it contains 6 episodes. They're about 40 minutes apiece. And all 6 episodes are actually 3 different stories. So let's just jump right into episode 1. Sex, Magic, Money, Murder, Part 1. Let's get it. So it starts out with this lady narrating by the name of Heather. And in 1993, she met up with this guy named Pancho. He picked her up at the bar, and his pickup line was, "Do you know anything about the devil?" And she responded with, "Well, you have to know something about God to know something about the devil." So right off the bat, she was curious about this man. So she went back to his house, and he deals with a lot of Necronom cards and stuff. I guess you could say he was an odd individual, but then she starts talking about her background. She used to work as a nursing assistant, and she felt like she wasn't going nowhere in life. She needed some type of thrill or some excitement. Then we found out Pancho used to be at some clubs. He used to do poetry from time to time. So they were enjoying each other. They were doing little heists here and there. She wanted to keep this gold watch, but then he tossed it out the window. He's like, "Man, that's traceable. Don't keep that shit." Basically teaching her the ways of robbery. And he's got a real big plan set up for her as they're driving down to Las Vegas. Before that, then she talks about how she grew up in Buffalo back in 1978. She talks about her father, how he used to smoke weed and smoke formaldehyde. I'm like, the fuck? If you don't know what that is, that's the stuff they put on dead bodies after they cremate them. It's like, the fuck? Then they talk to her brother Titus. He talks about how his father used to have all these parties, be random people just lying on the floor or whatever. They would do all types of stuff, coke, heroin, weed, you name it. So one day her mom ended up getting pregnant and they had Heather. But she didn't want the responsibility, so she gave full custody to her dad. She just dipped out as far as we know. Over time, Dad was messing with this lady named Cindy, and she would be there to watch after Heather and Titus. Cindy would tell Heather she never liked her, she never wanted to have kids or be with her. Like, your mom doesn't even want you, so why would I want you? And she's hearing all this shit before she even starts kindergarten. So she said in her own words, for her to never feel love like that before, the moment you meet somebody that's willing to give you any and everything, you get instantly attracted to them. And apparently that's what happened to her in this case. So in present time, Pancho and Heather are running low on their money that they stole earlier. And he says to her he wants her to get a job doing security. So she ends up getting a job working for this company called Loomis. So if you don't know, they're an armored truck company that carries around a lot of cash. They deliver to multiple casinos. Usually in these situations you have a driver and 2 people in the back that watch after the money. And they also talk to the 2 guys that she used to work with. So Pancho tells her one day to write down all the locations that you go to, what's your heaviest day when it comes to loading the money, what the security looks like when you go to these locations. Just have all that written down for me. She started to get the sense of what he was trying to do. They're basically going to rob this armored truck. So the people she would carry around in the van would go to these locations, drop off the bags, get some money, come back to the spot. And every other day she would pretend to get lost going around to the back or the front of these different locations. So they would just assume she had memory loss or she was just bad with directions. But this was all a ploy to make it feel like this was part of her regular everyday routine. So the spot they drop off the most money at is this place called Circus. It's like another casino. Keep in mind, from what they told us, this is a 4-month plan. Now, I'm not sure if Pancho rented out this spot. It was just a spot to go to. But he goes to this spot called the Steel Reinforcement Services. And it's really going to be a place to drop off the truck, but really, they're using it like a warehouse. So they got the plan all drawn up and she's with it. But she's starting to get a little nervous, and obviously she knows she can't back out of this now. He senses that Heather's nervous and he plays these tapes. He plays these random hypnotic tapes. And the purpose of these tapes is to make sure that she forgets all her doubts and feels at ease about the situation. Then we get some backstory about Pancho. Turns out in 1969 he got caught for a robbery where a man got killed, and guess where he was robbing? The spot called Loomis. He was actually supposed to serve life in prison, but he had wrote a couple books while he was there. So because his poetry inspired other poets and the parole board, he only served 23 years of his sentence and he was free after that. The thing is, Heather knows who she's dealing with, but she loves him anyway. Afterwards, they do more planning on the heist and tells her when she pulls this off, she's going to need a disguise. So he said, "No, you're going to dress like an old lady." Later on, he ends up giving her the business, and they both were on one accord. They felt like this robbery was their destiny. She felt like she wanted to help him out with revenge for what happened years ago. And now it's time. October 1st, 1993. She drove the guys to the spot. They take out a certain amount of cash, do their usual duty. They go in and she dips the fuck off. Yes, she is riding around with $3.8 million in the truck. After they're done, these guys go to the front entrance thinking to themselves, they don't know where she's at. They was like, man, she's probably just lost again. So they go around the back entrance, and she's not there either. So they're thinking to themselves like, damn, we standing there with a whole bunch of money. We're pretty much vulnerable right now. Then they talk to this guy named Ed Roman. He's a private detective. And he pretty much had every cop car on the street looking for this armored truck. It's an hour after the heist at this point. She finally made it back to the warehouse. Pancho's there like, hurry, we ain't got much time. She gets out of her clothes to put on her granny outfit, and they start stacking all the money in these big boxes. They put the boxes in the trunk of this car, and they roll out. They gotta take a plane to wherever they go, but they obviously not gonna be able to take the boxes on there in the airport. So he's having to mail somewhere, meanwhile, while she's putting on her contacts and hiding. Because pretty much right now, they got helicopters looking for her ass. Yeah, it's about 5 of them shits wandering around. And basically, when she figured out the helicopters was swarming around, she was officially a fugitive. And that's part 1 for you, because the next episode is part 2. Like I said, season 1 is 6 episodes, 40 minutes apiece. And they're documented, so these are based on real stories. The 3rd and 4th episodes are Money Plane Part 1 and 2. The 5th and 6th episodes are Burke, the Bourbon King Part 1 and 2. So like I said, 3 different stories for 6 episodes. Heist on Netflix. Check it out. Like, subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. Like, easy, all the easy best. Big. Could have got him slogan.